But you know how the story originally broke? The Packers podcaster named Big B.
Shout out, Big B.
Jamal Williams is inside the 30, out in front, a Green Bay touchdown.
Jamal Williams is the GOAT. That's all you need to know.
Okay, let's keep it under 25 minutes, all right?
We might be too young to have a spotted cow, but we are both diehard Packers fans. What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 143 of the Underage Packers podcast. It is a Thursday night game for the Green Bay Packers as they get ready to take on the Detroit Lions. Both teams heading into this game 2-1, and because of the short week, me and Big B are having to do a live episode, which is always fun. So, Big B, how are we feeling here on this Thursday night game?
Well, that intro got me ready to run through a brick wall. My goodness, love the new
with the lo-fi music and all.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. You know, we got a Luke Musgrave legacy game tonight, so that's always exciting. You know, against the Lions, Time to get some revenge, of course.
Yep,
living life.
Exactly. Yeah, I am so excited for this game tonight. It feels kind of like a playoff game, just like that opening game did against Chicago, and that one went very well. So hopefully this one against Detroit goes very well additionally. So we're going to be discussing all that is coming with this game tonight. A lot of injuries is the main emphasis, but as we talked about earlier in the week, this game feels very, very important for the direction of the NFC North. Both of these teams are 2-1. The two bottom feeders are 0-2. All right. Whoever wins this game, even though it's week 4, it feels like they might pull ahead after this game. Gotta say, Packers after this game, they'll have a long week to prepare for the Raiders on Monday night next week. Then they'll have their bye week, and then they'll have the Denver Broncos the following week. So this would be a pretty big win for Green Bay to set themselves up for a interesting stretch afterwards. So first off, let's start talking about the injuries the Packers have. Mainly the news that broke just before we went live, or about 30 minutes before, that David Bakhtiari has unfortunately been placed on the injured reserve list. This seemed like a inevitable move, something that would happen. With the fact that David wasn't even a game time decision for this game and was just immediately ruled as out yesterday, kind of said where they felt he was at in his recovery. So now Packers free up a roster spot, and really got to hope that this extra resting time will allow David to fully heal up and be good for the rest of the season. Before I go to Big B for his thoughts, we got my dad chiming in. I just updated the game roster, ready to hit the couch and watch the game. That is right.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Very excited. So Big B, what's your thoughts on this unfortunate Bakhtiari news?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. We knew he was, not 100%. Of course, yesterday, bit of a surprise seeing him out, but this point, like I said, you got to expect everything. Nothing's a surprise anymore with him. But
yeah.
like we said, for the Atlanta game, I mean, it just sucks for everybody involved. Sucks for David, sucks for the team, sucks for Packer fans, sucks that, David Bakhtiari is not going to go on and have many more seasons of being elite. But I think this final, mess up of his knee is probably going to push him to retirement after this year, which is absolutely sad to say because he's so good still, and just sucks that he has to deal with all this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just get so angry when I see people on Twitter. That statement alone is true, but also the fact this whole discussion around David Bakhtiari and how people want to say he is not committed enough to the Packers, that he is just being lazy. After he got paid and all of a sudden he tears his ACL and he doesn't try to come back at all. And that could not be further from the truth. Nobody wants David Bakhtiari to be playing more than David Bakhtiari himself. And that is the case with, I'm pretty confident in every single NFL player that has ever been injured. So the hate around him, and there was even some people that when Christian Watson had his hamstring flare up early on this season. They're like, well, here we go again. Christian Watson can't avoid injuries. It's like, man, Christian Watson really wants to play. I'm sure like he has no incentive not to. As Trey Trizzy says in the chat, Christian Watson back, baby. Very important question. And Diet Dr. Pepper or regular Dr. Pepper? I'm rolling with Diet Dr. Pepper tonight. I just switch between the two.
Like, I'm a regular Dr. Pepper kind of guy. That's literally the only Dr. Pepper I drink. So yeah, the original is the goat in the Dr. Pepper conversation.
Well, I'm also drinking Dr. Pepper water in my Dr. Pepper tumbler. So, I'm a sellout, I guess, even though we aren't being paid for this yet.
Yeah.
So Bakhtiari moves to IR. Another thing in this whole discussion about his lack of effort is the fact that, people want the Packers to cut him, but that would save the Packers no money at all. They are not earning anything from that. So yeah, just keep him on the team. What he can do this year, he can do this year, and then we'll see what comes after that.
Yeah, and he's still a veteran. He still has so much experience, and there's so many young guys on this in this offensive line group. Like at this point, he's pretty much a coach, and that the more coaches we have, good, I guess, can only help the future of this team at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt that he's offering insights on the daily to the young offensive linemen in that room, which there is plenty. So also out on the offensive line tonight, we have Alton Jenkins, which I'm kind of surprised to see him not placed on injured reserve yet, but he's out. You have Zach Tom, who is listed as questionable. However, judging off of the lack of practice squad elevations from any offensive linemen, I think it's pretty safe to say that Zach Tom will be active and that the Packers won't be running out there with Rasheed Walker and Yosh Nijman as their only two tackle options.
Yeah, Bill Huber just tweeted, I think, just 20 minutes ago that he's going to probably play, but he won't be 100%. Mm-hmm. So that's always a plus.
Interesting. Yeah, at least he's in there. I didn't even know Zach Tom was hurt until Tuesday morning.
Me
when
too.
Matt was asked about it. I was like, what do you mean Zach Tom's hurt? But apparently it was on that last offensive drive, and he did something not great. So he's injured. Devondre Campbell, who left the game last week, is also out. So not great on the injury front, besides the fact that both Aaron Jones and Christian Watson will be playing. Watson, it seems, might be on a snap count, might be limited to, only 4 80-yard reception touchdowns instead of 8. But, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah.
Beggars can't be choosers. So also another important injury there is Carrington Valentine stepped in excellently for Jair Alexander last week before he had a bicep injury. His biceps are not torn. So there's that. I guess that's a good sign that it won't be too long of an injury. But the Packers injury report is very long. Offensive line is banged up. Secondary is banged up. But our 2 playmakers are back, which is very good. I'm excited to watch Aaron Jones play football. It is always a good night when I get to watch Aaron Jones play football.
Yes. When we have Jordan Love and Aaron Jones, there's always a chance for us to win. It used to be Aaron Rodgers, but now it's Jonesy and Love. That's all we need.
Exactly. I would agree with you. On to the Detroit Lions. They are also dealing with quite a bit of injuries. Their fullback, which I got to respect Dan Campbell for having a fullback on his roster. Jason Kabinda, tackle Matt Nelson, offensive, that is, and guard Halolov Tai are all out for this game. And then they also have apparently cornerback Emmanuel Mosley out, and then David Montgomery and offensive tackle Taylor Decker, who were originally listed as questionable, will be active for this game. And then finally, the unknowns that remain are offensive guard Jonah Jackson and safety Kirby Joseph. So the Detroit Lions are also very banged up on this offensive line. So I think we are looking at big nights potentially for both Rashawn Gary and Aiden Hutchinson. Wow, very nice.
Yeah.
When did you get that Rashawn jersey?
When did I get it?
Yeah.
I think 2 years ago now. 2? maybe 1 year.
That would be a great investment. I mean,
Yes.
Rashawn Gary, by the week, is becoming even more one of my favorite players.
Yes.
NFL Films did something on him from last week's game where we got to see the speech that he gave after Matt LaFleur handed him a game ball. And he had just talked about, he used bro at the end of every sentence, which was in an endearing way. And then he also just talked about how hard he had battled for the past year to be able to come back and play. So that's amazing for Rashawn, and I hope he eats again tonight. And then some other things about the Detroit Lions here. Of course, very interesting team. Favorites to win the NFC North, at least in some people's eyes. A lot of interesting pieces on their offensive line and just how they run as an offense. Their run game is very multiple. I don't remember the exact stat on it, but there's something like basically the footnote of the stat, the summary of the stat is that they run in so many different personnel packages, and that obviously helps them out in the passing game there of marrying both of those together. Penei Sewell is an absolute dog, and he helps him out in that because he is just so athletic, probably the most, scratch it properly, he is the most athletic offensive tackle in the game. So that just allows them to do so much. He's basically a tight end, except, I was going to say he doesn't run out for passes, but he did last year and did a solid job at it. But very athletic, great downfield blocker, just good at everything he needs to do. So Sewell allows him a lot of flexibility. And then the running back room is very interesting as well. No Jamal Williams, of course, this year, but they do have Jahmyr Gibbs. What were you going to say?
I was sad, and then I realized that's a good thing. So, technically it's a good thing, right? He still has a job.
Yeah,
so.
and it's not with the Packers division rival, so it's even better. So Jahmyr Gibbs, their 12th overall pick this year. Can't remember the exact number, but it was in the top 15 for sure. A lot of people surprised that they took a running back in the first round. Nonetheless, Jahmyr Gibbs instead of you got to help me on this. Who was the other rookie running back?
Well, Bijan got picked before.
Bijan. Okay.
So
But the idea was that the only running back that's going to go in the first round is Bijan Robinson. And then just 5 picks later, Detroit takes one from Alabama. Jahmyr threatened the receiving game. Oddly enough, he has not been used that much in the first few games of the season, but I think they have a complex role ready for him, and they're just waiting for him to completely master this offense, which, like I mentioned, so much to learn, I'm sure, for a rookie running back with how diverse their running game is. And then a guy that's been rising on the scene for them is their rookie tight end, Sam Laporta, who actually grew up pretty close to where I'm from. I want to say he's from Collinsville, Illinois, somewhere around there. But he has been doing great things. First or second round draft pick out of the University of Iowa, tight end you, of course. He has 186 yards on the year, and he is so far the Lions' highest graded player on offense on PFF. So he's doing great things, and once again, helping out with that very interesting Lions running game. Pretty good as a blocker, at least for a rookie tight end. So definitely going to have to be someone the Packers have their eyes on all game. Big B, what are your thoughts on this Detroit Lions offense?
Their offense is, typical last year Lion offense. I would assume they haven't really done anything that flashy yet, I don't think, but they're dogs. Dan Campbell has got them boys playing hard, they physical, and I love me a good physical team, but it's unfortunate it is our rivals, the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff has almost mastered this offense. He's been playing very well. But I have a lot of faith in our defense. It seems like our defense always plays great against the Lions. So I'm not really that worried about it. I technically play well against the Lions. I see.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I had to say, I guess.
Yeah, one guy that we didn't bring up was Amon-Ra St. Brown,
Oh, yeah.
The much better St. Brown brother.
We should have
man,
drafted him. I don't understand why we didn't draft him. Like, why do we have to draft EQ of all people?
Well,
and then not pick his brother. Like the Bucks did it. Bucks got every Antetokounmpo brother in the world. So
I will say,
whatever.
Amon-Ra was definitely a better prospect than EQ.
Clearly,
and I remember when Amon-Ra, building up to the draft that he was in, I kind of poo-pooed the idea of it. I was like, no, people are just saying this because we have EQ's brother. Like, I'm sure he's great and all, but people were very convinced that he was going to be a star. And I was like, no, I think they might be too high on him. But that was not the case. He is very good. So
disgusting.
He is very dangerous with the ball in his hands, weapon after the catch. So, with Devondre Campbell out, the middle of the field is really going to have to be on watch for him. We'll still have Quay Walker, and then I assume we'll see what they did last week at inside linebacker 2 with Isaiah McDuffie, the duffel bag, of course, and Eric Wilson splitting time. And honestly, McDuffie is not as much as a liability as some of the other exclusively special teams linebackers we've seen in the past. Like when Ty Summers was out there on the field, you knew something bad was about to happen.
Yeah. God bless that man for real.
Yes, seriously. And then but compare, with McDuffie when he's lining up from scrimmage, just we'll be all right.
Oh, yeah.
And Wilson too is a solid veteran. So going up against Amon-Ra St. Brown is a little bit more elevated of a challenge, of course, but that they'll have to. I'm confident in them that they won't have a terrible game.
Yeah, and this also is the first true test for Keshawn Nixon, also because Amon-Ra is going to be lining up in the slot a ton. So yeah, I'm excited to see how Keshawn plays tonight. Also,
yeah, for the whole secondary, I mean, Keshawn is really going to have to step it up playing in that nickel position because, if they have Keshawn in the nickel /slot, and then you have Rasul in there, hopefully Carrington Valentine. Kind of funny that we are really hoping that our 7th round draft pick can play, but he is good. He is very good. We have learned quickly. We're looking at Corey Ballantyne and Keandre Thomas, otherwise being our 3 starting cornerbacks. So big night for that secondary. And hopefully Darnell Savage, maybe he can have a big day as well, because he's looked like a much different player this year, just in the fact that he is much more, I don't know, I guess you could say that he watched the tape from last year and saw that he was a liability in coverage, and he still has his moments, but also he seems like he wants to be there a lot more. He's making plays more. He's much quicker to the ball. So would be a big night for him to maybe stop some big runs from Jahmyr Gibbs and then some big after the catch moves from Amon.
Yeah. He's playing very fast this year compared to the last few years. And I mean, I love me some defensive players playing fast. So hey, he's stepped it up, and I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Darnell.
Yeah,
I've been hard on him in the past, so I'm glad he's been stepping up these last few weeks.
Yes, I agree with you. It does feel like we are. I was going to say it does feel like we are Vince Lombardi, but it does feel like we are a coach watching a player that we grilled every single day of training camp, and then to see him go out there and prove us wrong has been great.
And see, kids, I love why bullying works. So bully.
No, well,
yes,
we won't say that, but in the style that Vince Lombardi did.
Fine, but bully.
I love the confidence here from So Pro HD in all caps. Love breakout gaming coming. That is right. I mean, even though Jordan Love has had his breakout moments, I would say, in these first 3 games, this is his first time ever playing in a primetime game, ever. Well, obviously at Utah State, he probably had a few, but in the NFL, at least, first primetime game at Lambeau as well, obviously, too. So this would be a massive moment for Jordan Love if he goes in there once again with quite a bit of his team injured, beats Detroit on the national television when the Packers are pretty much doubted by everybody who is not paying attention. So very big moment. So Pro's prediction is 400 yards, 3 touchdowns. I like the way you're talking, man.
Yeah, I'm still throughout the season. If Jordan Love throws 5 touchdowns at all throughout his first season, I will be getting a Jordan Love tattoo. I put it on Twitter.
Oh.
It is true. It's gonna happen.
When did you commit to this?
Well, I tweeted it out, I think week 1, and then I kind of just moved it on to each week. And now last Tuesday, I made up my mind and just said, any point in the season, I'll just get a Jordan Love tattoo.
You just tweet out so much stuff during the games that I do not see most of it.
Well, it was pre the game.
Okay.
Like, it was kickoff area type.
Wow, so, you got close during that week 1 game then.
I know, I got nervous.
Does your mother know about this plan?
She does not.
Okay. So I guess either she's going to approve of it or you will have to wait until December 12th when you turn 18 to make this happen.
Well, yeah, I hope pray to God it's not soon because I'll need to build up some confidence.
Now, do you have any ideas for what the tattoo would look like? Because I know there's that awful one of Aaron Rodgers somebody has where he's like half naked. Is that the kind of style you'd go for?
And I got it right down my back, right down my spine, hit like naked Jordan Love just down my spine. It's gonna look very, very sexy.
Okay.
I think.
If I were you, I would just get his face.
Interesting.
Yeah,
like a tramp stamp.
Me, though.
Like a tramp. Tramp stamp?
No, probably just on. I don't know. Maybe on my. Maybe on my shoulder. I think that would look cool. Or right down the center of my chest. But I haven't spent too much time contemplating on what Jordan Love tattoo I'd get.
Yeah, that's true. We'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out when the time comes.
Exactly. Question from SoPro. He says, thoughts on the Jaden Reed and Brian Branch matchup? Very good question. Kind of disappointed we didn't draft Brian Branch. Still a little bit salty about that. But both those guys, both used in very interesting ways. We've seen Jaden Reed last week against New Orleans. He was able to get separation plenty of times. The issue was just catching the dang ball. But I'm not going to knock him too much for that, considering the paths that we've seen Christian Watson and Devontae Adams go on after struggling with catches early on in their career. It will be interesting to see how both those guys are used. We just saw Jaden Reed get most of his opportunities this season just last week. So I think Packers might have some interesting stuff drawn up for him. I haven't been watching too much of Brian Branch these first few weeks in, but as we know from scouting him before the draft, kind of does it all on the defense, moves all around. So definitely a player on that Lions defense to watch out for. All right, moving on to our superlatives to end it off. Starting off with the biggest key, and mine is getting Aaron Jones involved early and often, as it is pretty much in every single game. But in the game last year against Detroit, that just seemed to be such a problem, seemed such an issue for this offense to get the running game going at all. And that definitely limited to them. And then, the fourth quarter comes, they're down 3 possessions, and it's far too late to run the ball. So getting Aaron Jones involved, taking a little bit of the workload off of Jordan Love, because I think he had 50 passing attempts last week, somewhere in that range, which obviously was by necessity, considering the comeback they needed to mount. But just get Aaron Jones involved in every way possible. We saw against the Saints and the Falcons, just like how little this offense can do without Aaron Jones. They become very one-dimensional. They become very predictable. The running game is A.J. Dillon, and even A.J. Dillon suffers when Aaron Jones is not in the game. So just get Aaron Jones involved and have him do Aaron Jones type stuff. Big B, what is your key to this game here tonight?
Well, I think every time we face Detroit, one of the keys is always just attack Jared Goff. So I'm gonna go right back to that and say attack Jared Goff. Once you get Jared Goff like playing all razzled, get him off platform, have him scrambling around something good will happen. The interceptions will come, the incompletions will come. Rasul Douglas breakout game of the season will happen, even though I don't know what the hell I'm even saying at this point, but get Jared Goff moving, get him razzled, and sack that man, and then we will win this game. Let's go.
Sure, yeah. I am a big Jared Goff defender, I will say, in a different way than I am a Kirk Cousins defender, because they pretty much went on opposite career paths. You know, you had Kirk Cousins starting out in Washington, RG3's backup, gets his opportunity and makes the most of it, keeps getting franchise tagged year after year, beats the Packers in a really big game in 2016. And then he goes to Minnesota, and after that, he was just, average at best and made frequent mistakes. And that's pretty much still the case, although last year he looked really good thanks to Justin Jefferson. But Jared Goff went from being like Sean McVay having to trudge him along to not mess up his Super Bowl team in 2018. And now he's with Detroit, thought of as a stopgap quarterback to kind of bridge the era from Matthew Stafford to probably a quarterback that they draft high. And then all of a sudden, he looks really good. At least solid. He gets the job done. And I think Detroit will stick with him for years to come. But like you said, getting him under pressure will do a lot and will limit the potential of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs on some big receiving opportunities. All right, next up, our biggest concern, mine is Amon-Ra St. Brown. We talked about it extensively. Injuries in the secondary. We'll see what they can do after when he is running with that ball after the catch. Big B, what is your biggest concern for this game?
Man, it's that Detroit Lion game. Like, oh my God, that 1-2 punch, David.
The running game?
Huh?
Yeah.
What?
You just said that Detroit Lions game, but running game to be specific. Yeah.
Running game, yeah. Oops. Anyway, yeah, David Montgomery is back. He will be playing this week versus the Packers. So, got David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, a hell of a 1-2 punch for Detroit. I would say they're way better than the Falcons' 1-2 punch on Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson. So the Packers are going to have their work cut out for them once again. Stopping them will go a long way, but of course, this run defense is not that great. So we'll have to see if they step it up this week. They looked good last week, though, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, definitely. 335 yards on the year for both of Detroit's running backs. So definitely two versatile pieces that the Packers will have to keep an eye out for. And like we mentioned earlier, with making sure Amon-Ra doesn't beat you over the middle of the field. Same thing with these two running backs. Middle linebackers are going to have their hands full tonight.
My God, if Joe Barry does not press tonight, my TV will go throughout my window. I cannot stand seeing Joe Barry play 10 yards off one more time. I will be not a happy boy if that happens tonight on like 31.
We just complimented Jared Goff, but the strategy with this Detroit team should still be to beat, dare them to beat you with Jared Goff. That should still be the strategy. Although, I guess, yeah. I mean, they are in kind of a tough situation, Joe Barry, that, with, like I just mentioned, secondary injuries. And obviously, you got to be ready for Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta to go out. And then finally, who is going off tonight? Who is having a big breakout game, basically? For me, it's Carl Brooks. The Detroit Lions have some injuries, especially on that interior of the offensive line. We've seen some flashes from Carl Brooks, all right? But tonight is the night that I think He just absolutely goes off.
Okay.
Very excited for Mr. Brooks. Big B, who do you got?
Okay. So, who was it? Zach Cruz on Twitter. Hyping him up yesterday, made me start him in both of my fantasy leagues. So I'm going Luke Musgrave. He's going to have an absolute monster game today. I'm seeing like 2 touchdowns for Luke Musgrave.
Whoa.
Like I'm going to say 100 yards receiving. Man will be tight end 1 in fantasy. Jordan Love will get this man the football. So Luke will go off tonight. Let's go.
I like your thinking. We've seen him and Jordan have had so many opportunities where they were just so close to connecting, but ultimately could not. So
I want to
love...
hear the Luke chants through my television tonight. That's all I'm hoping for tonight.
That was very cool how Lambeau just like one guy spontaneously started that.
Yeah. Like I don't even nobody even said anything about it, and just everybody was doing it automatically. So that's cool, I guess.
Yeah. So very excited to see this matchup at Lambeau Field tonight. Like we mentioned earlier, first primetime game in the Jordan Love era. So should be a good one. Final score predictions. I was at home from college last week, and I could not leave there without talking to my friend who is a Lions fan.
Oh boy.
Ultimately I left and ended up having $15 on the Packers for this game. So I've got that on the line. I'm very excited, and I'm feeling confident. I am feeling confident. All right. I think the Packers win this game in a close game. Offense, both the offenses have their moments, but ultimately it comes down to the defenses that can make the big plays at the right time. I'm going to say the Packers defense is going to make those plays down a lot of their starters and leaders. Packers are going to win this one 24-20 over Detroit.
Okay.
Big B, what do you got?
Oh boy, let me think here. I think the Packers offense will return to its amazingness like we saw in Chicago. I'm going to say Packers 34, Detroit 27. The Packers will win tonight in prime time with the whole United States watching. Let's go.
Wow, I like that thought. So, with that being said, we will wrap this one up here. I'm sure me and Big B, unless it is a catastrophic loss, we will be back here either tonight or tomorrow to recap this Packers win that is about to happen. Inactive should come out at around 5:10, so in about 20 minutes, and then kickoff at 7:20. So
let's go.
They're not 5:10. They should come out at 4:50 if the kickoff time is 7:20. Anyways. No, that's not right.
No, I don't know.
5:50, I guess. It's 90 minutes before kickoff.
Yeah, so that's 6:30. 6:30.
You cannot be serious. It's 5.
I don't know. Whatever. I'm done. No,
the inactives will.
I don't know, man. I'm tired. I've had a long day.
The inactives will come out when they come out.
Yes.
But it won't matter who's inactive because the Packers are winning this game. We thank you for tuning in to this live episode of the Underage Packers. And we will talk to you later. As always, go Pack, go.